वेलकम बैक दोस्तों, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका इस यूट्यूब चैनल पर। और आप आज मुझसे सुनेंगे आपके दोस्त और होस्ट बिशु के साथ समवन टू वॉच ओवर मी फ्रॉम द चैप्टर लव एंड इंटीमेसी ऑफ द बुक चिकन सूप फॉर द कपल्स सोल। So I'm your readers today and you can read with me, you can listen with me. So just let's start. And if you are new in this channel, just do hit this subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you get the notification once the new video is uploaded. Okay, let's begin. The passengers on the bus watched sympathetically as the attractive young woman with the white cane made her way carefully up the steps. She paid the driver and, using her hands to feel the location of the seats, walked down the aisle and found the seat he was told her was empty. Then she settled in, placed her briefcase on her lap and rested her cane against her leg. It had been a year since Susan, 34-year-old, became blind. Due to a medical misdiagnosis, she had been rendered sightless, and she was suddenly thrown into a world of darkness, anger, frustration, and self-pity. Once a fiercely independent woman, Susan now felt condemned by the terrible twist of fate to become a powerless, helpless burden on everyone around her. How could this happen to me? She would plead, her heart knotted with anger. But no matter how much she cried or ranted or prayed, she knew the painful truth. Her sight was never going to return. A cloud of depression hung over Susan's once optimistic spirit. Just getting through each day was an exercise in frustration and exhaustion, and all she had to cling to was her husband Mark. Mark was an Air Force officer and he loved Susan with all of his heart. When she first lost her sight, he watched her sink into despair and was determined to help his wife gain the strength and confidence he needed to become independent again. Mark's military background had trained him well to deal with sensitive situations, and yet he knew this was the most difficult battle he would ever face. Finally, Susan felt ready to return to her job, but how would she get there? She used to take the bus, but was now too frightened to get around the city by herself. Mark volunteered to drive her to work each day, even though they worked at opposite ends of the city. At first, this comforted Susan and fulfilled Mark's need to protect his sightless wife, who was so insecure about performing the slightest task. Soon, however, Mark realized that this arrangement wasn't working. It was hectic and costly. Susan is going to have to start taking the bus again, he admitted to himself. But just the thought of mentioning it to her made him cringe. She was still so fragile, so angry. How would she react? Just as Mark predicted, Susan was horrified at the idea of taking the bus again. "I am blind," she responded bitterly. "How am I supposed to know where I'm going? I feel like you are abandoning me." Mark's heart broke to hear these words, but he knew what had to be done. He promised Susan that each morning and evening he would ride the bus with her for as long as it took until she got the hang of it. And that is exactly what happened. For 2 solid weeks, Mark, military uniform and all, accompanied Susan to and from work each day. He taught her how to rely on her other senses, specifically her hearing, to determine where she was and how to adapt her new environment. He helped her befriend the bus drivers who could watch out for her and save her a seat. He made her laugh, even on those not so good days when she would trip exciting the bus or drop her briefcase full of papers on the aisle floor. Each morning they made the journey together and Mark would take a cab back to his office. Although this routine was even more costly and exhausting than the previous one. Mark knew it. It was only a matter of time before Suzanne would be able to ride the bus on her own. He believed in her, in the Suzanne he used to know before she did lost her sight, who wasn't afraid of any challenge and who would never ever quit. Finally, Suzanne decided that she was ready to try the trip on her own. Monday morning arrived, and before she left, she threw her arms around Mark, her temporary bus riding companion, her husband, and her best friend. Her eyes filled with tears of gratitude for his loyalty, his patience, and his love. She said goodbye, and for the first time, they went their separate ways. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Each day on her own went perfectly, and Suzanne had never felt better. She was doing it. She was going to work all by herself. On Friday morning, Suzanne took the bus to work as usual. As she was paying her fare to exit the bus, the driver said, "Boy, I sure envy you." Suzanne wasn't sure if the driver was speaking to her or not. After all, who on earth would ever envy a blind woman who had struggled just to find the courage to live for the past year? Curious, she asked the driver, "Why do you say that you envy me?" The driver responded, "It must feel so good to be taken care of and protected like you are." Suzanne had no idea what the driver was talking about, and again asked, "What do you mean?" The driver answered, "You know, every morning for the past week, a fine-looking gentleman in a military uniform has been standing across the corner watching you when you get off the bus. He makes sure you cross the street safely and he watches until you enter your office building. Then he blows you a kiss, gives you a little salute and walks away. You are one lucky lady." Tears of happiness poured down Suzanne's cheek. For although she couldn't physically see him, she had always felt Mark's presence. She was lucky, so lucky, for he had given her a gift more powerful than sight. A gift she didn't need to see to believe. The gift of love that can bring light where there had been darkness. What a touching and beautiful story written by Sharon Vajta. Hats off to the writer and I hope you guys also like it. And अगर आपको ये पसंद आई है तो अपने दोस्तों के साथ ज़रूर शेयर करें इस चैनल को, इस बुक को, इस वीडियो को, ताकि वो भी सुने और जाने कि प्यार का मतलब क्या होता है और प्यार से हम किसी भी बैटल को जीत सकते हैं और किसी भी स्टेज में साथ दे सकते हैं, उसको स्ट्रॉन्ग फील करा सकते हैं, उसको इस दुनिया का सबसे बेस्ट गिफ्ट दे सकते हैं। आशा करता हूँ कि आप भी अपने लव्ड वंस का ख्याल रखेंगे, उन्हें खुश रखेंगे, उनकी केयर करेंगे और जो उन्हें चाहिए उनके सपनों में, उनके करियर में, उनकी ज़रूरतों में, उनके बैड फेजेस में आप सपोर्ट करेंगे। मैं मिलता हूँ आपसे अगले वीडियो में यहीं पर और मैं पढ़ूँगा आपका दोस्त बिशु एक और स्टोरी फ्रॉम द चैप्टर लव एंड इंटीमेसी ऑफ द बुक चिकन सूप फॉर द कपल सोल। जब तक के लिए आप अपना ख्याल रखें और बहुत बहुत खुश रहें। थैंक यू। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।